Hello and welcome to the For Parents Like You podcast. My name is Hilda-Joy O'Connor, and on this podcast, we will be talking about all things to do with parenting. Being a parent is one of the most important roles you can ever play in the life of another human being. Let's be honest, there is nothing more fulfilling than to see our children grow up in love, compassion, and empowerment. But the process of getting them to this stage can be very difficult. On this podcast, we will be discussing ways of how to equip parents like you and me to become more effective and purpose-driven. Thank you so much for joining me as we dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome back to the For Parents Like You podcast. I have a special guest with me, Joyce Oyedele. Joyce, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Hilda. Wow, what an honor it is to be on your podcast. And I just know that you're changing lives already. So, wow, I'm excited.
Thank you so much, Joyce. So, Joyce, you are an author, an educator, a tutor, and the founder of Diamond Steps to Success. You are also a daughter, a sister to 2 siblings, an auntie, and most importantly, you are a firm and active believer in your faith. Am I right? Or do you have more to add?
You have done your research, girl, and you remember. Okay.
Oh, yeah, girl.
Very, very good. Yeah, 100%, 100%. I'm just all of those things, and I'm sure God sees more. So I'm just walking in what He desires me to walk in, and I'm excited to what He's going to do in the future. I'm just like, God, what's going on in the future? And just journeying with Him, really.
That's amazing. One thing I love about you, Joyce, is that you are so self-motivated. You're a go-getter. So if anyone needs motivation, go to Joyce Oyedele. Honestly, she is fantastic.
Thank you.
Can you let our viewers know what you're doing at the moment?
Oh, wow. So right now I'm currently coaching a client on releasing her book, and she's writing a journal. And it's a spiritual journal. It's about prayer and faith. And it's just amazing being on this journey with her. I'm also working on creating an audiobook of my book, Diamond Steps to Success. Is still in progress, as quite a lot of my time is going to my full-time job, which is head of years 12 and year 13. So, with the results not being released not too long ago, really trying to help the students get into the right university places, their destinations, and enrolling those students into sixth form.
Wow. Okay. How has your faith played an important role in becoming the woman that you are today?
That's a really good question, Hilda. Everything starts from faith with me. Like, even though I'm so driven and I'm always got a goal in mind, it's like I only have that through faith, because faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. So a lot of what I do, a lot of what I work on is working on faith. I can't see it yet. And yet I'm kind of striving and working on what I feel God has placed in my heart. So faith plays a really, really big role, because at the end of the day, in my head, I think we're not going to be here forever. Everyone has different purposes, but God, help me fulfill the purpose you've given to me. There's an assignment that's been given to me. It might be to impact someone's life in 1 year, to impact many lives through my book, through podcasts, through public speaking, whichever avenue it is. I'm like, God, use me to touch this person's life. And so faith plays a very, very big role in my life every day. Every day I have very candid conversations with God. God just knows everything, the irritations, the why God questions. And I'm just real with the Lord, because that's how we progress forward.
That's good. That's really good. And even with that said, from being in a relationship with you as a friend of mine, that, you don't just speak the faith journey, you also work it out. If God gives you something, you put it into action. So you produce, you're a producer. And for someone who may be struggling in that area, what advice would you give them?
I think it's really good to be a producer, but not very easy. It takes a lot of personal development. I see, someone can give you something, but if you don't refine it and if you don't work at it, then you don't really get the fullness of the gift. If you never use it, you never get the fullness of it. And that means you're not blessing others because you haven't used it. So I always have that perspective that if something's given to me, as in maybe it could even be personality, it might be skills, talents, ability, it's there to be used unless it'll be dormant and just waste away. So I would encourage people to start with the why. Like if they have something in their heart that they feel like God has led them to do, or they just analyze themselves and say, actually, what gifts do I have? Because no one can do life like you can. There's no one on earth that has the same print as you. You are uniquely designed, formed by and crafted by the Lord God. Like sometimes it takes me back and think, the God of the universe cares about me. The God of the universe took time to form me. It's incredible. And so I need to do something with what he's given me. So I would really encourage people to start with, like, what do they have in them that they can develop? And actually, how can they use this to serve others?
So I'm aware that you also work in the educational field. What is it like with your role in the environment that you've been placed?
My role is very vast. It has a lot of different components to it. But ultimately, the reason why I see myself in this role is to help release the potential of young people. I think that the words of an adult is very powerful in the lives of young people. We've heard so many stories of people that haven't been spoken positively to, or heard positive words, or just had life spoken over them, and it breaks them inside, and they carry that on into adulthood. And so when they become parents or when they become an adult, they might not know how to share this with others. They might not know how to help this seed flourish. When we look at an oak tree, it's amazing. It's massive, but that oak tree came from a seed. So that seed always has the oak tree within it. It just needs to be in the right environment to help it flourish and actually grow and grow strong. So in this environment, though it can be very challenging, because I work with teenagers who can be very challenging to motivate, it's an honor to be in this position, to be able to be in a position where I can speak life or help or encourage a young person. I had a student text my work phone today, and she said, she got into King's College University, and she just said, "Thank you so much, miss. This wouldn't have been possible without you." And I just thought, wow, by going that extra mile, working in the summer, she's now got her place at King's College, a Russell Group University. And I know she's going to do great things. And I'm so proud of her. And I try to make it a habit of telling young people I'm proud of them, because they might not hear this. And young people desire that acknowledgement, that recognition. And so I do let them know that I'm proud of them. So being in that environment is challenging, but it is also rewarding, and every day is different.
Mm. And what can parents do to help to encourage their children?
I would say they need to get to know their child. It sounds simple, but as I said, every single person is different. Every single child is different. And so to know what they like and what they're drawn to. A lot of times, and sometimes I have worked in schools where parents, will say, my child will become a doctor, my child will become, a lawyer, and these kind of traditional professions, which there's no problem with. But is that what the child wants? Is that how God has geared the child? You might have a child that is so creative, they can be self-employed and do great things on their own track. compared to being forced to become a doctor, which they might not be drawn to. Of course, we understand the parents' intentions. They want the best for their child. What parent doesn't? But it's really important to know what your child is drawn to. Take notice of the things they enjoy, because once a child enjoys something, they can continue to do it over and over again. And so I would really encourage parents to just take notice, take an interest. I understand it can be really challenging with technology and work and shopping and household things. It is a lot of work. But I was saying, just observe your child, ask them questions. Everyone wants to be, everyone wants someone to be interested in them. And so just to ask your child questions if they're at that age where they can answer. And also to step out your comfort zone. There's going to be things that you don't want to do, but your child wants to do. There's going to be some ideas that you don't want to talk about, but your child wants to talk about. Cultivate this. It's hard, but cultivate this. It reminds me of the book, The 5 Love Languages. I think there's one for family or your children. I think there's another. It's traditionally written for couples, but love languages are so different. What is your child's love language? What do they respond to? Is it when you say well done and acknowledge them with words, they get really happy? Do more of that. Or is it when you give them a special gift? Do more of that. Or is it when you just spend time with them? Do more of that. Whatever their love language is, take notice. Of course, put boundaries as well, because children flourish when there are boundaries. They need it. Despite how much they fight against it, they need it. But it's a symbol of love. It's a symbol of love. And that's what I try to do with the young people I work with.
That's brilliant. That is so brilliant. An example of mine would be like my husband. He's just so amazing. But in order for him to have become the person that he is today is because of the investment that his parents had put in him. And, my husband by nature, he plays music, and his parents, invested a lot of time, a lot of resources in order for him to be the best, as well as he also had to do his own part. But I love that they are such great examples to the product that they've produced right now, because I'm benefiting from that product. So as parents, I believe that it is important, very important, as you rightly said, that we need to take our time to sit down and to actually observe what our children really like and what do they enjoy, because that is what they will flourish in if we invest in that. And I believe that every child is different. Every child has been called to fulfill an assignment on this earth. We all have a different purpose. And my purpose may not necessarily be the same as my child's purpose. And that's okay. I don't believe that we should try to carbon copy each other to be a certain way, because we are called to be unique. We are called to be different. And difference is beautiful. That's what makes the world so beautiful. And so I believe it's so important for us to invest in our children's talents and in their gifts.
Yeah.
So thank you for
sharing
and recognize. Sorry, Karen.
And 100%. And just something that you said there was that now you're benefiting from your husband's upbringing. And not just you now, the people that he's working with, the people that, are listening to your podcast, like this is going beyond. So it doesn't just stress the importance of upbringing, but, being matched with the right person, it changes lives, and God has a purpose. And right now, me and God are on the journey of him showing me himself as sovereign, because I had a lot of questions. Like, I study psychology, so I'm just like, God, I got some questions. Okay. So he's now taking me through a journey of his sovereign nature. And I'm just taken aback by God's just amazing nature. Just he gave me an image where he's like holding the universe is in his hand, and it's so small, and I'm just like, wow, this is incredible. And he's directed me to the book of Job, so that's where I'm looking now. And we all know that book is some heavy stuff. So yeah, it's but he is a good father, he's a good parent. And you know what, it's rare to come across parents that are good. And I just love, of course you're a black couple as well, and so it's just so positive and necessary for people to see that example. It is so important, and I think it should shine so much more in our society, because people need to see that it's possible. People need to see that, great things can come when you invest in the right way. Beautiful. I love you guys.
I agree. Oh, thank you, girl. We love you too. A lot.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something earlier on about results day. You recently had results day at your secondary school. How did that go for you?
That was surreal, because for A levels, it was difficult because of the algorithm that was used to give them their results, and a lot of them found it unfair. A lot of them were happy. A lot of them, it was just a nerve-wracking time, because they had no idea what would come. And then, of course, a couple of days later, the government did a U-turn and then said they can use the centre assessed grades. So that was positive, because some were higher, so then students could go to the university they wanted to. But I really felt for them, because I was doing some tidying up as it's lockdown, and I found my sixth form college application form years ago. And I saw on the application form my predicted grades, and they were much lower, as in GCSE grades, they were much lower than what I actually got for GCSE. And I thought, for students who are getting their predicted grades being used, it's unfair, because when I look at myself, I got higher than what teachers predicted me. And even at A level, again, it was lower, but then what I got was higher. So I really felt for them. Some students on the GCSE results day, they were happy with what they got, which was really good. And we were able to, go forward with enrollments, which I'm still currently doing. So it's not over yet. We're just trying to match the students with the right grades to the right courses. So that's quite a big process also.
And a lot of teenagers who may have had this predicted grades that may not have been to their own capabilities, if they were able to do the actual test, may be going through a lot of identity crisis as well.
Yeah, that is definitely something that got me into education, because I'm really passionate about helping students not have the identity tied to the grades that they get. It just is not the same. It just, no, you are valued, you are loved, you are significant, you are important, you are special, just as you are. The grades, the attainment, it's just what you're doing with the ability, intelligence, whatever God is giving you. So I definitely fell into the trap when I was younger, of tying my identity to my grades. And I would get so worked up about it. I would get so anxious about it. If I didn't get the grade, it's like the world will end. But it was really difficult, because if I got a low grade, it meant that I wasn't a person of value, that I wasn't loved. If I got a high grade, then it was. So it was very up and down, and I had to, and it's been a journey, but break out of that, because your identity is not your grades. Honestly, I have to say, whoever listens to this in the future or even now, you are not your grades. You're just doing what you can with the intelligence that's been given to you. And also, I know I work in education, but grades measure one type of intelligence. It's one specific type of intelligence. And, your grades don't necessarily measure your emotional intelligence. It doesn't necessarily measure your financial intelligence, doesn't measure at all your spiritual intelligence. There's so many different intelligences out there. And I really am passionate about helping young people understand that. And that's why I really took on this role. It's a pastoral role, head of years 12 and year 13. I didn't launch straight into teaching because I really need them to understand they are whole beings. They are multifaceted. There are many more dimensions to their being than grades. And I know there is emphasis on grades and what you want to do in the future. And I do ask the young people I work with, what do you want to be in the future? And they will notice what I say is, it doesn't have to be one thing. It doesn't have to be one thing. I've just finally finished the book, Becoming by Michelle Obama. And I've just been so inspired. I just love it. So inspired by her journey because, she was a lawyer. She went to Harvard. She was, a politician's wife. She's now an author. She's a speaker. You can be multiple things. And as you know, I do multiple things because it's not just one thing you can become.
That's
right? So,
That's right.
Yeah,
Wow.
I just had to say that because, it's a really important point.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. How can parents prepare their 16 to 18-year-old children for school?
I think to prepare them best is to really talk them through the process. And to be honest, the parent might not know the process, so we appreciate that. But just to check in with the child, they're going into school after 6 months of being out, so it's going to be a bit of a shock. So really just ensuring that they've got their pens ready, that they've got they're ready inside and out. The age group is very, very different. I would say for 16 to 18-year-olds specifically, it's a mindset. This is the most important because they are now entering key stage 5. So the type of work compared to GCSE and, pre-GCSE is different. The depth of knowledge they will need for a specific subject is much, much more compared to GCSE. And because they haven't sat exams, they might feel that, it's quite similar, but it is going to be quite a big jump. Now, I don't want to cause anxiety or anything, but really they have to have the right mindset. So I would encourage them to read books around the subjects that they're going to study, email your teachers and just find out what the best way to prepare for that subject is. Watch TED Talks on the subject, so you just expand your knowledge around the subject, but really having a timetable ready, just being really focused because it's so easy to get distracted at that age group. You want your independence and you think you kind of know everything and you don't, no adult can tell you what to do, but you're still in a school or college or wherever you're studying. So this is, for me, I mean, every stage is important, but this really is the step that launches you into your future, whether that be university, apprenticeship, workplace, or or just a different path. So I don't know, you start your own business. It's really that step. So you want to make the best decisions you can. I have a quote on my wall and it says, "Your future is created by what you do today, not tomorrow." And it's just a reminder that today you are creating your future. I was listening to one of my favorite mentors earlier, John Maxwell, and he said how when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. It's too late to prepare. You need to be prepared now so that when the opportunity comes, you can then speak into it and you can take advantage of it and you can do something. If you're waiting for opportunity to come and then you want to prepare, let me start getting my CV ready. Let me start writing my personal statement. Let me start. No, it's too late. So what I will say is, use your time now, structure your time, and also, very, very important, choose your friends wisely. You are
Say that again.
choose your friends wisely. You are the direct result of the 5 people you surround yourself with. When you step back and you take a look at the people you're surrounded by, are you happy with what you see? I tell my students this, and I'm going to tell them again on induction day. Choose your friends wisely. Take a look. Who are you surrounded by? Because you are going to show the same habits they do. So choose wisely.
That's good. Wow. That is so good. So we're coming to the end of the podcast. And I must say, Joyce, the wisdom that you are giving us right now, gosh, I wish I had that when I was back in school. So thank you so much for sharing this. My last question would be for you. What do you love most about your job?
So being head of years 12 and 13 is a very challenging role, but I really love seeing students flourish and achieve something that they didn't think they could achieve. I called a student on results day and he was just like, Miss, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I got this grade. And he was so shocked. And it was just nice hearing that delight in their voice and just seeing, I'm quite goal orientated. So not just with students, but even adults and people that I coach. So when I see someone reach their goal or work towards their goal and just see that growth and development, that is the cherry on the cake for me. It's just like, wow, because now doors are opening. It's incredible. So yeah, and just seeing the different ways they can grow into a confident adult. It's quite special to witness, actually. I don't have any children yet of my own, but to see that growth is amazing. And to say those words, I don't know what will stick with them, but I know something will. And it's just amazing having that impact in another person's life.
Wow. And you are just doing so amazing. You remind me of a teacher that I had in college. I remember on results day, I didn't have the results that I needed to be able to start that course. But she saw something in me that was just very special. And she said, no, she's not going to do 3 years in this course. She's going to do 2 years. And she believed in me. And I wanted to prove to her that I can do it because she believed in me. And I did. And I got the highest in my year.
That's amazing.
The 360 points.
That's amazing.
Which was back then at AAA. So teachers like that, we need teachers like you guys. We need you to keep on encouraging students and pouring positivity in them, and not seeing them as, they can't achieve, because these are souls that the Lord has placed in our hands, in your care, and we determine the impact of their life in terms of where they are going to be.
Yeah, and that belief, as you mentioned, yes.
In years to come. And it's your role as a head of year, and also other teachers, is so important and so valuable. And I don't want it to be dismissed, because what I had growing up back in college, it gave me so much strength and so much courage to be able to fulfill what I wanted to fulfill, because one teacher believed in me.
Yeah, I think that's so key.
She was like a mother role, because, I didn't have that much encouragement at home, but I loved going to college. I was so encouraged being in college. Some people may see it as the opposite way, that they don't like school, but I loved going to college. I loved working because of one teacher who was persistent in her dedication, her motivation, and her courage to me.
100%. And it's good hearing as well. You don't always hear the appreciation. I think after lockdown, I think parents will appreciate teachers a little bit more.
I think definitely.
Definitely. But it is a consistent work, and that's good to hear. And I think it's important to believe in someone that believe. You wanted to prove her right. And I think that's more positive. I've had teachers in my life that have predicted me lower. And so I've wanted to prove them wrong. And then I did through, as you said, like the 3 A's, but also having someone that believes in you and then smashing it and just saying, yeah, I did this. And yeah, growing in that way. So yeah, that's what I'll say.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Joyce. We really appreciate you being here. How can people connect with you?
You're most welcome. So people can connect with me over all platforms at Joyce Oyedele. So that's JoyceOyedele. I also have a website. So that's joyceoyedele.com. But they can connect with me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. I respond quicker probably via Facebook or my website or email. Any means, but it'll just be at Joyce Oyedele.
Thank you for listening. I hope that you were encouraged. Please do share this with your friends or family, and do come back for next week's episode. Bye for now.